then you try to remember stuff and you try to grasp it. You don't want to try to remember anything. Whatever is meant to reach you, like I'm saying a bunch of shit, but there's a bunch of people here. You know, not everything is going to be just for you. Some of the other stuff is going to be for other people.
Yeah.
So, and it's just not for you to accept yet, to receive yet. So, whatever it is that speaks to you, just receive that and then let everything else go. Don't try to hold on to anything. Don't try to understand it. Because what you're trying to do is fit what I'm saying into your current worldview, and your current worldview is fucked up. It's not right. So, don't do that.
I like the term in Norwegian. It's called visdommen noterer.
Visdommen noterer?
In English, the wisdom is taking notes.
I see. The wisdom is not thinking you need to receive it all right now.
The wisdom, you don't have to take notes. We're not taking notes here because the wisdom is taking notes, and
the wisdom is taking notes.
Yeah.
Ah.
So what?
Oh, I see.
What the wisdom is ready to accept,
yes. It takes notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
and you apply that,
yeah.
right? So here's something that helped me a lot, that I believed for a long time, that was awesome. And that is that knowledge is only means to. Do you guys understand what that means? If I say it's a means to something, like knowledge is a means to application only. There's no other reason for knowledge. So if you're not applying the knowledge that you have, you're just wasting space in your brain. You're looping shit that's not going to be useful for you, or isn't helpful or anything. So if knowledge is a means to application, then what you're able to apply now will sink in, and you'll apply it. And there won't be anything else that sinks in, just that. And I had a rule for me, which was one piece of knowledge to one piece of application. I didn't have two pieces of knowledge before I applied that first one. When I received one thing, I applied it everywhere in my life to see what would happen, and I did not do anything else. This is why I rarely watch movies all the way through now, because if a movie's really good, it delivers a message to me that changes my life. And as soon as I receive it, I don't watch the rest of the motherfucking movie, because it's not about entertainment for me, it's about growth for me, Yeah. I love entertainment, don't get me wrong, but right now, I'm integrating so quickly, nothing else matters to me. So I was watching, have you guys seen the new X-Men movie? Yeah?
No, I haven't seen
No.
it.
Well, I don't want to ruin it then, but I was watching it, and there was this one scene where Professor Xavier, as a younger person, meets himself as an older person, and his older self is giving him advice to his younger self, and I was receiving how to speak to the world, because that's been my alignment, has been reaching people with this message so that they receive it and not use whatever else they're using, And my speaking and stuff is really me changing it. That's why I say whenever I speak, I'm learning a lot from everyone that I learn more than you do, I promise. I learn more than you do whenever I'm here. Because you teach me. I have more teachers than you do, And everything that I say, I'm receiving something from everybody all the time. And not everybody can receive everything I'm saying, So I feel that this has to happen for me. That I have to teach in order to understand how to teach, right? And that means I'm not going to be very good at it in the beginning. Like in 5 years, I'm going to look back on the way that I'm doing this now and think that I was so probably fumbling. See how much I was fumbling with stuff and was just not very cohesive, Even though I feel pretty cohesive right now, So in that movie I was watching it, this moment came and I was delivered a message and I started crying and I had to leave. And I just walked out of the theater and then integrated it. I walked to that church over there, that really tall one, the really, really old one.
Yeah, Nidarosdomen.
What is it?
Dome, you mean? The cathedral?
Not a dome, it was had a spire and it has a beautiful rock artwork face in the front.
Yeah, that's the dome of Nidaros.
Oh, it is a dome?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't go inside, so I don't know.
The stone church, yeah.
It's a stone church, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's all stone, beautiful stuff. And it's right by the movie theater. The movie theater's almost across the street.
Yeah.
So I walked out, it was raining, and I crossed the street, and I walked, and I saw this building, and I was just and there's Jesus, and he was standing there with his arms out, and the message I just gotten is that I need to receive the pain of the world in order to help people in any way. I have to say yes to their pain. And then I walk out and I see Jesus crucified, and I was like, oh, now I get what you've been trying to tell me my whole life, you know? It took Professor Xavier in a movie for me to see it, you know? But I couldn't finish watching the movie because I had to leave. I had to go integrate. So that one-to-one knowledge to application ratio for me is more important than anything else, you know? Because it helps me, because integration is name of the game. If you can't apply it, then it was a cool conversation, you know?
So if you learn something right now, if he came with if he gave you some
yes.
advice or something that you were like, oh, now I learned something, then you would just get up and go outside and integrate.
Sort of. It's the learning is for me is different now because I have something called indicators. So indicators are like messages from something that I'm going to receive, so that I can be prepared for it when it comes. So the message that I received in this movie, I had like thousands of indicators saying the same thing, but that I wasn't ready to receive yet. So when I saw the movie, I remembered all these other ones, and I was like, oh fuck. Then I had to leave. If you said something like that, anyone said something like that, a homeless person said something, and they delivered that to me, and I received that indicator as like the final indicator before I apply, then I would of course I would. I'd probably start crying though, because whenever I receive something that's really big, my body has to release all of this like resistance that I've had my whole life to it. This is a really big thing I'm stepping into, you know. It's the ultimate game here.
Well, I can relate to those indicators actually, because
yes.
I think that all people have those.
Yeah, It's cool. Isn't that cool? So I can talk to you about it and say, oh, you know, that's an indicator. And you can go, oh my God, that is an indicator. And we can actually have a conversation about that. And I don't have the indicator that you do, but I can recognize that it's an indicator for you, and I can honor that. I would honor any indicator. When I was in Germany, was it Germany? Yeah. I had an indicator that kept happening that I should make myself vulnerable to people. And my initial thought was to make myself physically vulnerable. So I went to my class and I said, if anyone here wants to punch me, I want to offer you the opportunity to do that. And I'll be damned if there wasn't one kid in the class who raised his hand, the quietest kid in the whole class, and said, I want to punch you. And then I said, let's do it, you know? So he came up, I stood up in front of the whole class, and he just pulled back as far as he could, and hit me. I said, if he hit me in the face, I might have to leave and go to the hospital and get stitches or something. So it might make the class a little shorter, but I'm okay with that, as long as you're okay with that, you know? So he didn't want to hit me in the face because he wanted to, I'm so happy he didn't hit me in the face. But I had to say yes to it, you know? I had to, because it was indicated. So he punched me in the stomach, like 4 times, really hard, you know? And I remembered, in that moment, I remembered my cousin doing the same thing when I was a little boy. That I thought he was going to hit me once, but he hit me a bunch, you know? My body automatically tensed up. When his arm was swinging, I was like relaxed, and then his arm got like right here, my body went, whoop, you know, and like braced for impact. And he hit me, and it hurt. And I was like, thank you, you know? Like he gets to experience releasing anger, rage, and even physical aggression at someone who loves him afterwards. And that must have been the gift for him. But the gift for me was saying yes to something I did not understand and could not explain. And, you know, just saying yes to it and being like, all right, well, whatever happens, I have to trust, you know? I have to trust. At some point, I can't keep needing a reason to do things, to follow these indicators. I need to just go with whatever is popping up, you know? And earlier that day, or the night before, I was reading a book called Spiritually Incorrect Enlightenment. And it was a book all about how to do the thing we talked about earlier. It's called How to Be the Breakout Archetype, which is how to identify as a person who's going to wake up or die trying. And the whole book was about this one sentence in another book, and that one sentence was, "Call me Ishmael," which I have tattooed on my arm for 10 years before I read the book. So I was like, holy shit. So this was an undeniable indicator, you know? I mean, so is this.
I always assumed that was from Moby Dick.
It is from Moby Dick.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand the sentence. It was just the first sentence in Moby Dick, and for some reason I really, really needed to get it tattooed on my arm. It's the biggest tattoo on my arm, you know? Yeah. It's the most noticeable for me. People literally would just be like, Ishmael, on the street, you know? Hey, Ishmael. all the time. And I'm realizing now, or then at the time, that the sentence "Call me Ishmael" was Herman Melville telling anybody who was trying to wake up that this book is about waking up, and they can learn how to get out if they do this, if they follow the things in the book. But the book was so hard to read. Moby Dick was really hard to read. So I read a book about Moby Dick. I started reading Moby Dick, and I was like, fuck this. And then this other book showed up, and I didn't know it was just about Moby Dick, And I didn't know that this sentence meant Ishmael was not in the book. Herman Melville wrote this sentence, the first paragraph, the first pages and stuff, last. And the whole book, the main character doesn't actually have a name. And at the end, everyone, well, I'll ruin it for you, but everyone dies. Moby Dick, Captain Ahab chases after Moby Dick and then gets his leg wrapped up in the rope and then gets drugged down with the whale. And this is after the whale had just destroyed everything in the ship. Everyone's in the middle of the ocean and they're just all dead, Captain Ahab killed everyone in order to face this fear. And then the part of him, the breakout archetype, this I will do anything to wake up. I will wake up or die trying. That's like a warrior type. That dies when you're done. So if you still have this fighting thing, then you're probably not done. You're probably more to fight. So it was a note. It was a note from the other side. It was an actual map, and it works. And I read Spiritually Incorrect Enlightenment. That helped. Reading Moby Dick was just like reading somebody who was speaking Old English, and I couldn't understand half the shit he was saying, and making weird references that I didn't get. And there was one chapter that was literally 20 pages or 30 pages where he's trying to explain that the whale's a fish and not a mammal. And you're like, why am I even reading this, But Spiritually Incorrect Enlightenment, that book is not about Moby Dick. It's just that he gets obsessed with Moby Dick because he sees it's about awakening. There's a line in Moby Dick that says, and I'm gonna paraphrase, to be free is to strike through. And to strike through anything is to strike through the mask that is not you. To pierce through that and to see what's on the other side, the pure you on the other side. That's what Moby Dick's about. And the main theme of Moby Dick is stake your life on the truth. Put everything. You know how you put bet everything on something? Bet everything on the truth. Everything that you do in your life, every experience that you have, every choice you make, everything you allow to come to you has to be has to be in alignment with the truth. And the truth, turns out, is that you exist. And that's it. There's nothing else besides that you exist, that you actually can verify. Everything else is sensory input. But if you're experiencing anything at all, then you know at least that you exist. At least that. So if anything else that you're doing is based on a belief, you'll find that there are certain things that aren't based on beliefs that you're doing, that are actually just, like you were saying before, the inborn dualities, like the inborn games, eating food, breathing, taking care of your body, sometimes interacting with people, right? That's an inborn game, it seems. Experiencing your world around you, receiving gifts. These things happen regardless of whether or not you have beliefs. It turns out. But you don't know that until you let go of your beliefs. And you stake your life on this one thing that you know is true. That's why I started out the class with closing our eyes. Not class, but whatever. Closing our eyes and then repeating in my mind that I exist, that I am. That's why David has I am tattooed on his arm. It's the ultimate, And in the Bible, the name of God is I am. In the Christian Bible, it's that. And I've had lots of indicators that, every religion seems to say the same thing, that existence is God, and that you exist, and therefore you draw the conclusion, right? Because no one's brave enough to tell you that you're God, because it's a scary thing to say. It's a scary thing to accept. If you think God is something separate from you, you might start basing all your actions on something crazy. You might be like, I am God, so I cannot die, and so I will kill everyone, and I'm God, so I am choosing who lives and who dies, right? So if you have this perception of who you think God is as a person or like a being or something separate from you, and then you accept that you are God, then you try to act like that instead of letting that go and then receiving that you are, and then aligning all your behaviors with what is given to you here, really. That's a weird way of saying it, but how would I say that? You align everything in your behavior with away from things that are not that you exist. So I do this now, and it might seem like I don't, so I don't know how to describe that to people, really. That I seem to be making decisions, but I'm not. We had this conversation, remember? It's weird. I never knew any other way to navigate in the world, so everything that I saw looked like someone was making a decision to do that thing, and then I could be like, they're making a decision, so they have a reason, and if they have a reason, I can hear the reason, and I can decide whether or not it's supposed to happen, And if it's not supposed to happen because I don't like the reason, then I won't listen. And if it is supposed to happen because I do like the reason, then I'll accept it, And so I had to take that away, and then it's threatening because not to people, but it's just a threatening thought because if I were miserable in this state, then if I were not obviously stoked, like very, very happy in my life and content, well, actually, I'm not obviously. People will doubt that and then check to see if I am, Like sometimes they'll even say that I'm not happy, that I'm miserable in my life, and that what I'm saying is a bunch of bullshit, basically. And that used to make me miserable when people would say that. But now I just allow that for me. If someone says that, then sometimes I'll say that I'm about to cry because it's hurtful for someone to tell me that I am something that I'm not. I remember being a child and having all these thoughts, but that's just a nervous system thing, right? When I was a kid, people would treat me like I was one of many and not the only one here, and so my opinion didn't matter, and I had to change what was indicated for me and start to believe things instead and play along with everyone else. And when I found out that wasn't the case, I was really sad in the beginning that I had been doing this whole time, and that I did it for other people, and that I sort of felt like I betrayed myself, And so then when I was finally very clear that I was not going to betray myself anymore in this area, when people would treat me poorly because I wasn't betraying myself in this area for them, usually because they're scared of what I'm saying, that it might be true for them as well, or that I might harm somebody if I'm in this state, or whatever the scary thing is, then I would cry in the beginning. But now I feel a little bit better, right? I still feel sensitive, very, very, very sensitive. Like I feel the opposite of masculine. But apparently that doesn't matter. Like, apparently people still perceive me as masculine and stuff, even though I'm very emotional, and I seem to be very emotional compared to everyone else who's like, I feel like I'm in a world full of Germans, like very logical and smart, Emotions, what are those? Those are things that get in the way of my logic, And that's not every German, obviously, but I just felt like that is the case, and that I really was only understood by women for a while. So I just let go of the guys in my life, and then the women came to me to help support me. And then when women were supporting me, then I could speak to men again, because I guess my nervous system started to shift. Like I wasn't holding the stuff in my body anymore, not as many things. But I've been getting body work for like 4 months nonstop, like getting massages. People started showing up giving me energy work. Like, I don't fucking understand that shit at all. But I don't understand body work either. I have a story about how the muscles work and shit, and that makes me feel like I understand it, but I don't know if that's the case. So I just said yes to everything, but I feel better now. I do. I don't know if it's energy work or body work or whatever the fuck, or if there's even a difference. Clearly there can't be a difference. So I trust whatever comes to me now, and I just say yes to it. Maybe I'm being duped, but at the end of the day, my experience is shifting. So how would I say that it isn't working? It seems to be. So I think that I'm just now a lot more open around the idea that I don't know what I thought I did, and so I don't pretend like I do as much. So I can receive people a lot more. I can receive gifts that people don't know how to explain, Like if I were to go, you can give me energy work, but tell me what's happening, Tell me why it works, and then if I like it, then I'll say yes. Well, people who feel like they have some ability to move energy in your body probably feel that they are not going to be accepted for this, because who's going to receive this without a good reason? They can't explain it, And then B, that explaining it in some way diminishes it because it gives a story about it, and then they have to only act within that story. So if they find something, like a new way of doing it that's different than that in the middle of working on you, they can't shift as freely because they feel like they have a story about their gift, So I try to operate around my gifts with as few stories as possible for me. So when I say that, like, I'm clear now on what this is all about for me, that this is for me to have an experience of living a life where I feel like I'm in service to people awakening to truth. But it's not that people are actually awakening to truth. People are already awake as they could ever be, really. It's now I don't really perceive that people are awakening around me. I feel like people are already there. You're all already here with me, clearly. Look where you fucking are. You're here. Like, you can't be in some other paradigm. You can pretend that you are, though, and then I can show you that it's safe here, that you don't have to pretend. And you don't have to believe that, of course, and I don't want you to believe it. I want you to come see for yourself. I don't want you to believe something and then just receive it and accept it. That's like the opposite. If you had said that to me whenever I was going through this process of undoing, I would have just fucking written you off completely if you had said that. Believe this and don't question it. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to question everything, And I really encourage you to question everything that I say for yourself. But when you find the answer, I want you to accept it. I want you to be brave enough to accept that it is whatever answer it is for you. Whether you find that what I'm saying is bullshit, or whether you find that it is right for you, that's how you experience the world as well. I just want you to accept that no matter what it means. Even if it means that if you accept this thing, you will not be able to come into work tomorrow. And you'll have to let everything go. I still want you to be brave enough to do that. So you wouldn't do that without really, really knowing for sure that you see this in your world. And that's how I know that you're going to inquire, like genuinely inquire into what I say to see if it applies in your world or not. Because if it's a big thing and it resonates, but it means you'd have to let go of a bunch of shit here that you really like, then you're not going to do it blindly. And it isn't about doing this blindly. You're not children. You're totally grown-ass men. So I don't want you to do anything blindly. I want you to really receive this as a possibility, as an option for you to live your life like. Not like the way that I do, because the way that I do is just for me. Like, it's what I'm called to do. You probably aren't called to, like, go teach and whatever it is that I do now. I'm not sure what this is. Teach truth realization, or, I don't know, help people in this way. But most likely you will be in service to people in some way, or be in service to the world in some way. And whatever that is, if it's in flow for you, we're playing the same game then. We're on the same team, So asking people to join me is really the only statement, the only message that I have for the world is join me. But where I am it seems to be a scary place for people. So you work through that on your own. If you just accept it and not think about it, not question and all that stuff, not see if it's really you. It's not about me delivering a message. It's not about me and my integrity or any of that shit. Don't put it on my character, none of that stuff. I'm just saying shit. I could be a grocery bagger saying the same thing. The only difference is that we've all agreed that you're going to hear me out right now. You're going to at least consider this shit. That's all. And so you consider it however you want to, but you will consider it. And I just want to say it to you in a way that you want to consider it, that it's something that you want to say, is this really how things are? And how do I know that it is? How would I know for sure if it is? How do I know that the things I think are opposite are real? How do I know that that's real and not this thing that this person is saying? That's what I want you to ask. And if you run away from that, you can feel it. You know what I mean? If you're like, no, he's wrong. You feel it in your body. Like, I think you do. At least I did. The feeling of like, no, that's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like you're giving it an honest try. That you're looking for it to see if it's really how your world is. So I have a lot of respect for all of you because I know that you're receiving this, and you are saying, is this right for me? That's all I can ask you to do, and that's like a big deal to do that. Because the things that I'm saying to you, like, for example, no belief is true. You can't disprove that. Try. Go everywhere in your life. Disprove it. The process of trying to disprove it is the awakening process. So as you disprove it, you stop believing the things you realize aren't true. Why would you ever base any action on something that you think is not true? You wouldn't do it, you know? It'd be like a fantasy. You would feel weird about it. There's a time in your life when you didn't care, but now this is not that time anymore. You're looking for truth, for something solid to stand on, and you've got it. It's here. It's not me delivering it either. You've already had this thing. So all I can do is point at it with you and say that in me, I have it this way. It looks this way. And I'm totally fulfilled in every way that I ever could imagine that I would be. And that I had to let go of all the things that I was doing before that I thought were going to give me these things, like women being attracted to me. Oh, here's a good one. The woman that I was with before, Kelsey, do you guys want to see a picture of her? Have you met her?
I met her.
Yeah. Do you guys want to see a picture of Kelsey? It's like, sorry.
So
No, she's not here in Norway.
Why didn't she come, actually?
It wasn't indicated.
Sure.
I could make up another story, but really I would be just making it up, you know. Here's Kelsey. You guys can see her. So this girl got me on this whole journey from the very beginning.
All right.
When I met her I was working at a gas station in Florida, and
We had dinner. I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And I spent so long doing anything I could to figure out how to attract her. That's kind of what the Tao Baz was. It was 10 years of me trying to attract Kelsey. And then I finally figured it all out. Magically, right? And then I didn't use any of the shit that I had learned on her, except that I didn't do a bunch of shit that I would have done before that would have been also incongruent. That's the only thing. I just stopped and didn't do any of the weird behaviors that were pushing her away when we were younger, because I was so scared and insecure. I had to let her go whenever I was letting go of everybody. And she was still there with me when I let her go, so that was really encouraging. Like, when you let something go, if it's supposed to be there, it stays. If it's not, it goes away. And you have to be okay with whatever it is. But eventually she went away. And I had to be okay with that. And now she's back in my world. She sees me, though. The things that I do for her, that I've done this whole time for her, she accepts. She's like, she wouldn't receive that before. There was no way she could believe that I would have gone through the amount of pain and had the dedication that I did to get her in my life. She believed she was too small for that. So the only way that I could show her this was for me to to stop playing small for me. And that meant I had to wake up to do it. So I had to let her go, and now she's in my life. But now she is, and other women are too. And she's okay with that now. She wasn't okay with that before, whenever I was not integrated. But now she is. Like, it's not like it's weird. She went through her own process of opening herself up because she wanted to. Not because I wanted her to. You know? I wouldn't want her to do it for me. You can't do something like that for somebody else. You can't be like, oh, you want to go date other people? Okay, well, I will be okay with that then. It doesn't work. You can pretend to be okay with it. You have to actually go through the shit you would need to let go of in order to be okay with that. And I didn't ask her to do that. She just did it on her own. And she's more in love with me than she ever has been. She receives me now on a level she's never received me, ever. And when I was in LA, I saw her and we spent some time together, and just like, it was a powerful experience for me. I never have experienced her like this except that very first moment that I saw her, when we hadn't met each other yet, and I didn't have a story about her yet, and she didn't have a story about me yet. And we saw each other so clearly. I looked right in your eyes, and she saw me right in my eyes, and for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, we were pure with each other. And then it was gone. Door slammed shut, and I couldn't get back in there again. Everything I did was a story, and she made a character out of it, and made me into Josh Pellicer, and then she wouldn't see me anymore because she thought it was a character that I was playing. She was trying to navigate that character. And she had to be her character in order to navigate it. And we were both really young and didn't understand any of this. Now we are back to that level of love, but it's that those 3 seconds are every moment of our interaction is like this now. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life. Ever. It's what love is. I see that what I was experiencing before was not love, it was attachment. And that was fear-based. I thought I was going to lose her, to someone else. But I can't lose her to someone else. We are bound by something greater than both of our characters that we play. Something deeper. She's meant to be in my life. At least she was meant to be in my life. And if she is meant to be still, then it will be easy. And I will be received like that, like the way that I would like to be. And I am now. But I had to let her go, and there was a period of not having her in my life again. I let her go back in the day, too, when I had known her for maybe a year. We'd never kissed. Bless you. We never kissed. We never dated. Nothing. And I knew I had to leave, and I left for 8 years and didn't see her for 8 years. Didn't talk to her for 6 years, but I didn't see her for 8. And, I had to go away. Have you ever heard a song called... you ever heard a guy named Cat Stevens? The singer?
Never heard it.
He's got a song called Yusuf Islam. And it's a song where a young child is talking to an older man. And it's like he goes between the different conversations, The younger boy, he's like, how can I try to explain when I do, he turns away again? Like talking about his grandfather or whatever. It's always just the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. And now I know it's time and I have to go away. And you don't know why, you just know you have to go away in your life. You have to get away from whatever it is in your life. And this was when I was 18, maybe 17, 18, when I was younger. I knew I had to go away, so I left. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And then I finally got her again, and then I knew I had to go away again and leave her again. And it was harder than the first time. But now I have everything I've ever wanted, and there's no possibility of me losing it. Because if Kelsey can't go away, Kelsey is here with me. Always. I don't experience her as just the character she plays or the body that she's in. I experience the thing that I see in her eyes when I look at her. But I know that's me. That she's just a flavor and expression of me. And in this way I can love her truly. And I know who I am now. So I can know who she is. I couldn't know when I looked at her before who she was. She wasn't receiving that in me. I had to do this. That was another thing. Another reason why I knew I had to wake up. Because I couldn't give Kelsey the thing I wanted to give her more than anything in the world, which is my unconditional love. It was all conditional because I was afraid it would go away. That it was possible to go away. I thought she was someone else other than me. So I let her go in Amsterdam. When I was in Amsterdam, I was the fuck. The letting her go thing, I gave her permission to do anything. To sleep with other men, to hate me. All the things I was afraid of that she would do, I actually gave her permission, not just yeah, you can do all that stuff. And then when she does it, I would be upset, I worked through as if she had already done all these things. I let go of all of it as if she had cheated on me and everything. And then I told her that I couldn't promise that I wasn't going to be with other people. Even though for the whole time I didn't, right? I wasn't with other people. I didn't want to be. But I couldn't promise her that I wouldn't. If someone came to me in flow, that I would have to go with them and be with them too, But I did promise that I wouldn't push her out of my life in that way. But I just promised that was an empty promise. Really, if someone had come and if it was indicated that I should push her away, I would. Because it was indicated, and I trust flow more than I trust anything else now. And at that time, it was my letting go in Amsterdam. Maybe that was about a year ago. How long ago was that? Maybe a year ago?
Amsterdam was a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago? Wow, that was a long time ago.
So it was October, 10th of October 2012.
10th of October 2012. 2012 was a big year for me. You know, the end of the Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
Was in 2012, and Maya is the goddess of illusion. And to me, the end of the Mayan calendar was kind of really relevant to me. In 2012, my ego died. It was actually 2013 that it fully gave up. But in 2012, I was killing it the whole time. Anyways, interesting coincidences, you know, or synchronicities is what I would call them. That's what Carl Jung called them, I think, the psychologist. I'm pretty sure he's the one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him. That's the story that he coined the term synchronicity when he was talking about an Egyptian beetle and how rare it is and how it only exists in this one part of Egypt, and one flew in his window in his Manhattan apartment. Against his window.
So you could see it.
And he was like, you know, that's fucking impossible, you know? So he was like, this is something that happens all the time, synchronicity. And he started seeing it everywhere. And he was a pretty logical psychologist at that time, you know? And that's what it takes. Whenever you're a really smart guy or really logical person, it takes like a overwhelming miracle to show you that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know? That all your logic is just for you to feel better and smart or whatever. It's all ego. Not logic. Logic is great. It's like math with words, you know? It's undeniable logic. Like I exist is a great logical tool, but it's really more believing than logic. Believing in the things that you conclude from the logic. That's what I really mean. The synchronicities fly in the face of all of that. Statistically speaking, it was impossible. Statistically speaking, I should not have been in the same town as Kelsey in Costa Rica. She was living in New Zealand before that and didn't tell anybody she had moved to Costa Rica. I was living in New York and didn't tell anybody I was going to Costa Rica. And we ended up in the same town at the same time 8 years after we had met and hadn't talked.
Really?
Yeah. And it blew my mind. You know, I was so sure that shit like this was just made up and hopeless romantic, that it wasn't real. And then when it happened, I had like this, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. What if I don't, right? What if I actually don't know what I'm talking about? And that this is real, you know? That it's not hopeless romantic. That this is meant to be for me in some kind of way, you know? So, yeah, I can receive Kelsey now in ways that I couldn't before. She feels seen by me more than any other man ever. And in this way, I know she's not going to go. If she finds somebody else who sees her like I do, then that she should be with them too, because I know that it's me in there for her. When she looks at them, she'll see me now. Because if she's seen by anybody, she feels seen by me now. Yes?
No.
Oh.
I was just, I don't know.
Just doing this?
Yeah, just doing this.
I see. Exclaiming with your finger. I feel like I'm wrapping up now. You know what I mean? I'd like to just open the floor if anyone has anything to say, not just questions, you know, because you already have all the answers to every question you could have. I can point at it for you, but it's really you already have it for you. Every question you have, the answer is in the question. I found this for me, that if I have a question, the answer is always in the assumption of the question. There's some assumption I have in the question that something is for sure, and that assumption is not true. And I have a question that I can't answer because I have an assumption that is causing the question that I believe. This is what a belief is for me. So I can only point to those things for you. So if you have any questions that feel, or beliefs that feel real, or you want to challenge or something, I'd love for that to pop up now. And by the way, I'm not upset at all by you guys being on your phones, by the way, at all, even a little bit, just so you know. It doesn't offend me even the slightest bit, just so you know.
I know.
Okay, cool. I just want you to know that there's a line from the Bible where Jesus is speaking to a large group of people, and a dude who was listening was like, there's a bunch of people talking somewhere, like in a certain group, and being kind of loud. And a dude was like, Jesus, why don't you tell those people to shut up, you know, to stop talking so that we can all hear you? And Jesus says, I don't think you get it. Like, if they weren't talking, the rocks would have to scream. You know, everything happens exactly like it's supposed to, exactly for a reason, you know? So that's why I'm not upset in this, especially in this teaching environment. Nothing wrong can happen. And yesterday, that's why when I realized that I wasn't supposed to talk that day, I didn't make it wrong. I was just like, I can't talk. How about that? You know, sitting down to talk, and I was like, blah blah blah. But I felt like it wasn't coming out, and I was wrapped up in details that people were telling me and helping them navigate their details. And I was like, what is happening? So then I realized it just wasn't. I wasn't supposed to talk right then. But I was there for another reason other than to sit and chat with people, you know? That I was receiving something different. Showing them with my no, I can't talk right now, that this is how I operate from this place. And then after that, someone showed up, this guy, Shetel. Shetel was sitting across from me on the opposite side.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just like really open, like his eyes were always kind of like open like this.
Yeah.
Because he's almost done. He's been going through this on his own, and I haven't talked to anybody as close as him. That's almost there. That's like, I mean, he's going to make it through, and really soon he's going to make it through this process and out the other side. Done is a thing that I never thought would happen if I didn't read about it. It's not that I'm enlightened now. It's that I'm done pretending that I'm not in my life in any way. So I'm not enlightened. I'm just not enlightened anymore. That was a belief, right? That something was wrong or whatever. So he's at this place where he's like, everything's cool. Even the stuff that's not cool is super cool. You know, anything that I make uncool is just me playing a game. So he's come to this conclusion, and I had to go for a walk with him. That's what yesterday was all about. It was about me telling you what I told you.
Yeah.
Letting you receive healing from Kylie.
Yeah.
Like affection, you know, and then dropping the conversation and saying this is not happening right now in the way that we all think it might be, and then shifting and saying yes to what was being offered. That Shetel and I needed to talk, and we need to go for a walk, and I told him that he was almost done. He needed to hear this. He didn't know. You can't know. He needed to see it, you know. And he's just like super overwhelmed with this possibility that he might be actually doing the right thing, because it's so lonely doing this without anybody helping bounce things off for you, just to reflect for you. Like, yes, there is no right and wrong. So that means, yes, what you're doing is right, right now. And more than that. But, so anyway, that was I forgot why I got onto that. But, for whatever reason. So anyway, I want to open the floor. Just,
Well,
do you have something?
one thing though.
Yeah.
Where do you start off? Like, where can I begin if I were to figure out this was right for me?
I'd read a book. If I were you, I would read Spiritual Warfare by Jed McKenna.
Okay.
If you're a really logical person, and you want to, if you're open to someone challenging your logic in a way that's going to really, piss you off, then there's another book that I can give you. It's another, by the same guy, Jed McKenna.
Yeah.
It's called Theory of Everything. And at one point, he says he opens a book of Stephen Hawking's, reads the first paragraph, and throws it away. Because the first paragraph, Stephen Hawking is assuming all this baseless speculation shit that he's like, nope. So if you hold people above you in your head and you're insistent on this, then that would challenge you to never see someone as greater than you and only to accept everyone as peers, even the smartest person in the world, you know? Yeah. Especially the smartest person in the world, you know? But that's not where you are right now. I would give you Spiritual Warfare. It's maybe about that thick of a book. I read it on... I had a physical copy too, but Kindle, I have all those books on Kindle, and they're great. And I can email them to you.
Yeah, please.
If you have a Kindle and you don't want to buy them.
Yeah, well...
If you want a physical
I'm a student,
copy.
I don't really have that much money.
Great, yeah, then I'll do that. Do you have them too?
I even got it.
Okay. So he'll give you a PDF version probably. Do you have a Kindle?
No, but I...
Okay, well, get a Kindle, by the way. It's the shit. If you guys get any Kindles, I will send you any book I can on Kindle and just give it to you. These books need to be free, but they need to cost that you invest something, right? You need to feel like you have to do something, like you have to try to get them. Otherwise, you won't read it. You know, it's not the time for you. But when it is time, money is just one of the ways you can get these books. You know.
Yeah.
So, Spiritual Warfare by Jed McKenna. Get this book. Yeah.
I got book 1 and 2.
Oh, maybe I do too.
Book 3 it was too big to put on the email because it was like 240 MB or something.
Oh, it might.
It was really big, and I don't have it on my phone.
Okay, well, let me see if I do.
Sadly.
Spiritual warfare. Rian, spiritual warfare. No attachments in here. Order spiritual warfare. I just need to find it anywhere where I attach this to an email, and I can see if I can forward it to you guys. Okay, just let that run for a minute. But write it down in case I can't give it to you, or I just forget, or whatever.
How do you spell McKenna?
McKenna.
Okay. Yeah.
Spiritual Warfare is his third book. It starts out with a poem. It's kind of long, and it feels kind of like it's written kind of like a Bible is written, like it's 2 columns on each page. If you get the audiobook, you're going to start listening to it, and you'll be like, what? But just work through that and get to the other part. The next chapter starts out with the police chasing him. So it's like an exciting experience of the police chasing him and how he's evading the police and how he's basically evading the police in flow. They start chasing him because they see this kid smoking weed, and they shine the lights. He's walking past this kid on the street in the middle of the night. It just happens to be that they're there, and this kid's smoking weed, and the police shine their lights on both of them, and the kid takes off running.
Yeah.
And so Jed McKenna takes off running too, just for fun, just like why not? And then the police start chasing him all over this town. Anyway, I'll run it for you. It's very funny. So,
The word that you use often is the word perception. I don't feel that I get it. Do any of you
get the word perception.
get the word perception? Is that also?
It's like any sensory input that you have is perception. So any of your eyes.
What is your perception of the word flow that you use a couple of times? Because I read about flow recently. Also had it in my classes when going to coaching classes.
Who knows what they mean when people mean so many things?
Yeah.
I can tell you what I mean though. You know those indicators? Those are messages from flow. So flow is the interaction between your world out here and you. So it gives you messages and guides you. It's a guidance system. I call it a navigation system, really. It's like shows you how to navigate. And you don't need logic or decision making to know that something's indicated. Like you don't need to decide that you're hungry. Your body just tells you that you're hungry. The same, and these are just body things that sometimes flow is really obvious in your body because you can't deny it. You experience pain in your body too. So whenever you do something that you're not supposed to do, or that you are called to let go of, or whatever that you have to pay attention to that you're not paying attention to right now, your body expresses it via pain, emotional pain or physical pain. And pain is a part of flow. Joy is a part of flow. All of the things that come and go on the screen of your consciousness are indicators or messages from flow. So I trust these messages because I see my reality as me. So if all of a sudden I see a squirrel eating a nut and then it buries it and puts it in the ground and then runs up a tree, if at the same time I'm thinking about, I'm asking a question, how do I invest my money or something, right? Any question I have in my head, if I see a squirrel do this and then run up a tree, it's as if a professor just told me to save money and to leave it alone and not pay attention to it and to run off and go off experiencing something else. Put it away and then just forget about it, right? And I would receive that from a squirrel. You know what I mean? The squirrel doesn't need to know that they're delivering a message to me. You don't need to know that you're that it's in flow and that it's an indicator and stuff. Everything that you do for me is in flow. Even if you're mad at me or you hate me or you punch me in the stomach. You know what I mean? It's all supposed to happen. And if I, without deciding or anything, block your punch or, or leave because you hate me or whatever, right? Leave the energy, then it's what I'm supposed to experience. But if I don't leave, if I'm called to stay and I can't leave, you ever been like experiencing pain and you can't leave because you feel like you need to stay for some reason? Someone's being an asshole and you have to keep talking to them. Like you don't know why you have to keep talking to them. Everything in your body is like you could leave anytime you wanted to, but you don't want to leave. You want to stay, and you want to find out what's behind this thing. That's seeing it, not making it wrong. Wrong making is what causes flow to not reach you. So if I said, it would be wrong for me to receive from a squirrel how I should save my money or what I should do with my money, that's a stupid thing. People will think I'm dumb for that. Then I have to ignore that sign and wait for it to come to me another way. And if I ignore a bunch of signs like that, then at some point I'll start to experience pain because I'm not paying attention to the obvious signs that are just given to me that aren't involving pain. So I create a painful scenario that shows me the lesson that I then receive. You know what I mean? And I may receive a cluster of these indicators before I act, or I may just receive the first one and know that I have to. Know it's a yes. And that's what I prefer. I prefer that I have a preference for that I don't create my preferences. It's like who I love, I don't decide that, So if I have a preference for ease of navigation without needing to like feel pain in order to know that I don't want something, so I can find out what I do want, then I receive the messages telling me what to do instead. This is what I learned from Zen study. I was reading this book over and over again. It was called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. And I read it 15, 18 maybe times in back to back, bam, about 10 years ago when I started all of this, started getting seriouser about all this stuff. And my only rule was that every time I read it, I had to learn a new lesson. That I would learn a new lesson, meaning that the stories I would have represent different things every time I read it. So I wouldn't go, okay, well, this is clearly me here, and this is clearly my ego. This thing represents my ego in the story. Next time I read it, I would see the first thing as representing my ego, and the second thing as representing my fear or something. And I would learn something new. And it was guiding me in such a powerful way that I shut the book, and I had this moment of realizing that shutting the book was the same as reading it. That the act of shutting the book was also a thing that I was being offered, a message, So then I was like, well, what else is a message? And I realized that the words were just a physical thing in my world that I was listening to, and I said I would listen to. So what if I said I would listen to something else, What if I said I would listen to, this is what I ended up doing, the candy bars. Because I was working at a gas station. There's a line of candy bars in front of me, chocolate candy bars. And they had different names, and they were laying in different angles and stuff. And I would give meaning to each one. And then I would say, what does it mean that someone comes in and chooses that candy bar over this one? If this candy bar represents my power in the world, and this one over here represents my love for people, or whatever, I'd give these things meaning for a moment, and then I would watch what happened as an interaction. Whatever happened next would be what I would take. And I would base my life on these things. And it sounds nuts. I couldn't explain it to anybody else. They thought it was nuts, I guess, if they knew this. But I stopped doing that and started navigating based on logic after a while. And then I eventually came back to that same thing. Just whatever is shown to me in this moment is flow. And you can take any moment here. You can say, what's the thing that takes your attention, that draws your attention more than anything else in this moment right now? Right now it's me, because I'm talking, and you're looking at me, probably, right? So, but if it wasn't me, something else would be drawing your attention in this moment, more than anything else here. That thing is trying to give you a message from flow, always. And because you see that thing as having context, you won't receive the message until you drop your context and say, that tree is not a tree. It means this other thing to me. And whatever it means to you in the moment, whatever it seems to, you just allow it to be. Don't make it wrong. And then whatever happens next, sometimes you'll do this, dude, it's crazy shit. If you give your, weird shit will happen. If you say, that tree is my ego, what are you trying to teach me? Literally, sometimes things like this have happened to me. the tree will fucking fall over. Like, uproot out of the ground and fall over. The wind will blow the tree over right in front of your face. And you'll be like, what? What does that mean? Like, first off, that's fucking crazy that a tree just fell over. How did that happen? You might start to get distracted from the message. What happened over there? Did the wind blow so hard it blew it over? Were the roots really shitty? Was someone cutting it at the bottom and I couldn't see? You know? So you might go to see what happened. And if you see that someone was cutting it, you might go, oh, I just didn't see that someone was cutting it. That's the message, that I'm ignorant, that I don't see this. But that's not the message, you know? I mean, maybe it is, that's what you get. But oftentimes there's something else you have to avoid, a message you have to totally ignore. People would say this is a message from God. But if you're God, then it's a message from you. And I like to call that flow, which is more like a dynamic thing, you know? How you interact with yourself and show you which way to go. To show up here, you must have had some flow indicators to show up. The first time you had flow indicators to show up, I know. You wouldn't be there otherwise. Because I only act within flow now. So everything that I do is in flow for other people. It's interesting. People dream about me having never met me now. And I'll show up and they'll go, holy shit, they don't believe it. I've been having dreams about you, you know? And like vague, strange, where they remember these dreams at nighttime. And they come up during the daytime. They're like, wow, that was weird. What is this about? What is this about? And then I show up and they're like, holy shit, it's you. It's like I'm entering people's minds, you know, this way, through flow, and drawing them to me now. It's an amazing experience of my world. It's like I have telepathy, but I can't control it, right? It's like I have telepathy, and however the telepathy works is how I'm supposed to receive it. So I'm like a student of this telepathy, not that I create it and I'm like, you know, into your mind and drilling in there and making you think stuff. It's more that you suddenly cannot deny that there's meaning behind something that doesn't make any sense. And that when you meet me, it begins to make sense suddenly. So I have this opportunity now to deliver these messages of flow to other people in flow, meaning that they're ready to receive them. And they receive me as a vessel of this thing, as long as I don't pretend that this is my message. That I'm like, here's my teaching, and you are my students, and no, because that's not what you imagined. Whenever I come to you, and I prepare you to come to me, I don't come to you as a teacher. I come to you as you, you know? And so when you see me, if I have some bullshit ego thing going on, you won't relate, you won't see it. And it doesn't help. So I have to like let all of that shit go constantly. I have to give up the message and give up my involvement and necessity. So then my relevance in the world is, as I get bigger even, and people look at me as like this person who delivers them messages, I still can't even find that that's the relevance of my life. I can't take relevance off of being the one who delivers messages. I can only, because then I can't deliver messages. Because then I'm like, oh, this is why I'm important. Okay, well then since I'm important because of this, I have to tell everyone this, and then I tell people when it's not in flow, and they don't receive it, and then I see that I get grinding, and then it doesn't work, you know? So I have to be totally surrendered all the time. And in that, I am able to deliver to people the message that they need absolutely in that moment, like perfect message. Amadan was like undeniably ready to come. And before this, he wasn't ready to show up. I had invited him before, but I said, when you're ready, then come to me. And only in that moment will you come to me. When he was, it was undeniable, and he came. Over. You know?
It was it was weird. To come here, I needed a couple of things. And even before I knew he was coming here, I was offered a job. Randomly out of nothing. I went to my old boss, used to work at this biological greenhouse. And I was there with my dad just to get some food. And I talked to him, and in the end I said, hey, if you need some help for a day, I've done volunteer work before there, I'd be willing to help. And he was like, yeah, I kind of really need someone for multiple days, and I want to pay for it.
Okay.
Sure. So I got a job 2 days in a week, minimum. That's what he needed. And 3 days later, I talked to Josh. I was like, Josh, I'm kind of stuck, and I need some advice. Got some name around. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually coming to Europe. Like, what?
Yeah,
Where?
I've only been once to Europe, and that's when I met him, and I hadn't had any plans to come back. And it was indicated in Flow for me to come. You know how I got here is that Alla, out of nowhere, bought me a ticket.
Cool.
To come here.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't even buy it. I had no money. I couldn't have bought a ticket, you know.
Who did it?
Alla, David's, one of David's.
Oh,
brothers.
yeah.
Really sweet girl. So I figured I checked online what the price of the plane ticket was. €300. Exactly what I would earn if I went to work 2 weeks, 8 days. Perfect. So we got the money. Everything came together with my bag.
Camping and everything. Yep.
Came from all directions, from friends of my dad, and passport, everything right on time. Even journey, perfect. Day in Oslo, perfect. Coming here, perfect. It was so weird.
That's how I wanted to operate.
But it was kind of like it was a dream. At every single moment, I thought like the sky could just open and it would be my eyes opening up when I was back in Holland and waking up.
Yeah.
Every single moment could have been like that, but it's weird.
But here you are, you know. And that's if I was not surrendered to that same thing that you were in that moment, then you wouldn't be brave enough to do that. I think, you know. I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but you wouldn't be coming to me around it. You'd be going somewhere else, to somewhere where you saw someone who was demonstrating this. Whenever I started surrendering to this, everything in my world started lining up. People started surrendering to it just enough to get close to me, to see that it was okay, that it was possible to experience this. You know?
There was a lot of hesitation in the process for me, also with the money and everything.
Yeah. Have you heard the expression that the journey to the shaman is half the journey?
Yeah.
That's how it feels. I don't feel like a shaman, but at the same time I do feel like a shaman. You know, like I'm surrendered to the same thing that shamans would be surrendered to, and I don't administer medicines for people because I know that medicines have to be a huge part of the life of whomever is administering it, and I just used medicines to show me what I needed to see, and they were intense. They scared the shit out of me. Medicines meaning like DMT and stuff. I was not drawn to psychedelics at all. Didn't smoke weed until 4 years ago for the first time.
Speaking of DMT, do you think I could try it tonight?
I don't know.
I know David has some laying around.
Oh, I don't know. You ping him.
I know he has.
I mean, no, you'd ask him because it's his.
Sure.
Do I think you could? Yeah, of course you could. You know, yes is the answer. Yes, you could.
Perfect.
And even better if you can. Here's what I would really like to offer people. I think that you don't need to go do a DMT journey that's all the way through first. I think you can have a little bit and see how you feel, and then wait a little while, have a little bit more, and go a little deeper, and integrate this shit. You know, come out and think. You know, is this okay for me? Do I feel like I need to work through some shit before I go in more? Like, why not do it that way? You know.
I just want to feel like dying.
Well, then do it, right? Just do it, whatever it is that you're called to do. But if you're called to sip it, like I love sipping DMT until I get to that place, right? A little bit, wait, let my body adjust, like just fucking let it all go. A little more, let it all go. You know.
You need to have a feeling of surrendering to it, otherwise.
I know what you mean.
I'll just chicken out.
I had to do the same thing. I had to do it.
I'll take a little and be like, let's carry it out and do nothing. So
Maybe, you know, that is possible. And I agree, that's what I thought too. And so I went full on first, you know. So if you're called to go full on, just fucking do it. And I'm like a brother in arms with you in that area because I did the same thing and I know what it's like to face this down, and I have an enormous amount of respect for anybody who does it. Especially if you, after hearing me talk about it, then you're like, I have to do this, you know? Because nobody really that I've run into wants to do it. Everybody who I run into who's like, comes to me, doesn't say, I want to do DMT. They say, I just have to do this at some point, you know? And I don't want to push it off anymore. So yes, of course, you can. And you may want to actually, since you're here now, and I'm feeling like this is the case, you should ping David right now. And just don't ask him about DMT over the phone.
I know.
But say you want to talk to him about something like now, I don't know, some people call it Dimitri instead of DMT, so they can talk about it. Like, hey, can you introduce me to Dimitri? But I don't think that he understands that that's what that is, you know. Or David Michael Thomas is another one.
That's good. I sent him this text this afternoon because I was already thinking about it, but I didn't respond, and I didn't have a moment to ask him.
Yeah, totally.
I'll
You can say
That's
DNT because DNT is the Norwegian Tourist Association.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, he might. Well, yeah, I think he would probably get that too. Can you take me to the D&T? You know.
I have some questions about Norway.
Yes.
I have some
But
questions on being here in Norway.
yeah, exactly. Being here. So you can make it cryptic if you want to, but talk to him in person. You know. Meet up with him. Say, hey, can you meet up with me 5 minutes today? Not for long. I just want to talk to you about something that I would like to.
That's the best approach.
Yeah, totally. And then ask him in
Already heard
person.
something? Drink?
Oh,
Coffee, water.
I'm feeling like I'm about to go here in just a little bit. Does anyone have anything else they want to say? I mean, I want to welcome it. I'll stay longer, of course, as long as.
Do you have 5 minutes for me afterwards after we're done here?
Yeah, sure.
Just the two of us?
Yeah. Did you walk here?
By bike.
You rode your bike?
Yeah.
So I can just like walk with you with your bike for
Sure.
5 minutes as I go that direction.
I do not know. Tattoo there.
Yes, that was the first tattoo I got on this arm.
I've been saying that to myself so much lately. It's really weird.
Yeah, doesn't sound weird to me. Yes.
I got into this situation with a girl, and stuff happened, and other people around us got angry because of some things that happened.
Yeah, they got involved in your stuff. Mm-hmm.
And the sort of initial instinct reaction is that I did something wrong or we did something wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's
Feels that way.
and I always end up with a question: is it really though? What is it? And always the answer is I just sit there going, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
You want a better one? I can't know. I can't know gets rid of the whole loop.
I'm still in the same position.
You can't know, can you? I mean, that's the truth, isn't it? How could you know?
That's true.
There you go. And then it just stops. You just have to remind yourself that instead of I don't know, it's I can't know. And then you're done with that. It'll stop looping. Anything that is like that you think you don't know, and you should, if you realize you can't know, then anybody who tries to make you know it, fuck those people. You know, you don't care. You're like, I write that off. Like, it's like saying, hey man, disappear for a second. Just disappear, man. Why aren't you disappearing? You're like, I fucking can't disappear. I'm here. If I disappear, it's just because you do. Like, you would disappear. Not me. I would still be here. So I can't do that. I can't not exist. I just can't, you know? And how would you know? You wouldn't. The only thing that you can know is that you do exist. So you can't know. That's probably what I should get. I cannot know.
I'll get that one.
That's a good one. And the parenthetical I here,
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
that was because I wanted to admit to myself and remember that I didn't know what I was or who I was yet. That what I was saying when I said I knew was not me yet. So when I said I do not know, I didn't know what even I meant by I when I said that. So I want to remind myself. Now I do know what I mean. Yay, right?
We had a few years ago, a friend of mine and I, we were on a real drinking binge, and we did cocaine and stuff, and we stole this sign because there was roadworks going on. And it translates to, please use the sidewalk on the other side of the street. In Norwegian, it's vennligst fortsatt på andra sidan. And we were sitting, and we stole this sign, we were very happy. Half a year later, I gave this to some friends of mine, they moved like to the fucking woods somewhere. And I said, here, take this, hang it on your wall, it's gonna be fucking hilarious. And so some guy said, we were sitting there looking at the sign, drinking, smoking weed, and he said, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if it said on the other side?
Oh.
And I just said, no, it would be better if it said, please use the sidewalk on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. On.
And we tried to place the sort of
the quotations.
Yeah, the quotations on the weirdest place, and we just landed on. It's just the weirdest way to say it.
It's interesting that doing stuff like this changes. It gives you messages. You know, I had this happen so many times to me. So one way that that indicators come to me is so all your senses will give you indicators. Sometimes you'll hear something that you'll hear it out of context, meaning that you'll hear it as something else. It only means this thing to you and not to anybody else. And you hear it, but clearly means that thing to you. So take it, you know, take that. Same thing when you see something. You'll see like a billboard and half of it will be covered up by a bush and it'll say, waking up or wake up, exclamation point. And then you'll get closer and it'll say, the best way to wake up, and it's a cup of coffee. You know, And you're like, oh, that's what that means. But then you have to undo the lesson you just learned in order to receive that it was about coffee. Don't do that. Take these things. This is what I navigate my life on. That's why I'm in Norway. I would not be here talking to you if I lived my life like the other way, Anything that you take that seems to be spoken directly to you, receive that it is spoken directly to you. Because everything here is. There's no message that is not for you here. So that means that every message you've learned from or heard from every movie you've ever felt connected to, every book you've ever read, every great philosopher, every great religious leader or spiritual leader, smartest person in the world, the dumbest person in the world, everybody is delivering messages for you. Only for you. So it's just a matter of whether or not you receive those messages. If you think that you're small and that it can't be for me, then you deny them. You deny those messages. And they come to you in another way that you're ready to receive. And for most people, that's through pain. Because I will tell you, people will listen to pain. If you put enough pain in front of them, they will listen to what it is you're saying. So, and you know that about you, so embrace that. I even made deals with Flo. If you're really brave, you'll do this. Kill me if I don't wake up. Fucking kill me. Torture me if I resist. Torture me. If you're really brave, make a deal. And if you don't think that flow is real, then make a deal anyway, because it's not real. But you fucking know it is. If you do it, it's going to happen. That's why people don't make those deals. I had a deal that I made with Flo that said, kill me if I'm not going to wake up in this lifetime. And then I was able to say things like at my Australian boot camp that I taught. I said, how many people in this room would say out loud, even when no one's there, would say out loud, or at least right now, it's okay, you can kill me now. Look up to the sky, it's okay, you can kill me now, I'm ready to die. Just kill me. Any way you want to, I won't stop it. How many of you are willing to do that? And nobody, of course. Everyone's looking at, maybe someone else is going to be brave enough. And I said, okay, pay really close attention to what's about to happen. And I said it, and I waited.
God like that, just for I don't believe in God, but
Well, that's the thing, is I'm not challenging God, because I made a deal with Flo that I said, kill me if I'm not going to wake up. So I'm not going to take it like I said, I'm challenging God, and then I was struck down, right? I'm going to take it like I wasn't going to wake up anyway, so I need to start over.
I did it to convince myself that what I was doing was something that I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't believe. I was talking to God, but I don't.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Him.
Yeah, I know.
But I would say that if this what I'm doing now is not right, then let a bolt of lightning hit me, and it was actually a thunderstorm.
Yep.
And I just thought, okay, because it won't. I knew that it wouldn't.
Because you felt it was right.
Yes, and I just wanted to confirm it to myself somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, bolt of lightning right here. Come on.
Yeah.
I didn't go so far as to hold a rebar
Yeah.
up the air, but
right. But if you were called to, and then you didn't do it, you would have to do it. You'd be like, you would think to yourself, that's not enough. I need to do this too, and then you would do it. And then maybe you get struck by lightning, and then if you survived, you'd have to be like, well, fuck, I better stop doing that. You know what I mean? And you would probably stop. This is the way I design my life now. Here's what I said. I said, if I'm not done with this, I'm totally finished removing all this shit. Jed McKenna has a better definition for done. It's like, his definition is basically like, you undo shit and you're unbelieving stuff and you keep going and it seems like it's going to last forever and it's harder and harder and harder. Every next mountain that you climb was made up of steps that were the size of the last mountain you climbed. Every single one of them is bigger, exponentially bigger than the last and harder. I said, if I'm not done by the time I get to Peru to do ayahuasca, as soon as I drink it, torture me endlessly. And I know that I can be tortured on ayahuasca because I was scared shitless on 5-MeO DMT, torture me endlessly. And I said, all right, I made a deal. I know I made that deal with Flo. So it's not that it was going to happen. It's that I knew that it was possible now. Because I've made deals with Flo in other ways, and Flo always holds up a bargain. Always. For me. So I said, that was what I said. If I'm not, and then I had maybe 3 months to finish. And dude, that was the most stressful 3 months of my life. Because I was like, what else is there? What else is there? What else is there? That was my torture. I was tortured the whole way through. I was showing that I was willing to do anything to align. And when I got there, the day of, I wasn't done. When I was doing Peru, I didn't feel done. I was missing some pieces of the puzzle. I was holding on to this reality. I didn't want to die because I love this reality so much. It wasn't that I was afraid anymore of like non-existence and stuff, because I'd done 5MEO and I worked through that shit. But now it was that I didn't want to leave because I love this place, because I just got here, you know? Finally did I just get here, where I can like look at this texture and just be like, this is fucking impossible, you know? Sit here with this for days and just love it, you know? All of my experiences, everything about everything, I was so grateful. And I was like, I'm not done. I wasn't in that morning, the morning of ayahuasca. And so I just was bawling and crying. And the shaman sent someone to get me. He didn't know that I was crying. And he said, bring Joshua. So I came over, and he saw that I was crying. And he talked to me. And then I said, I just got here, you know? I don't want to leave now. I don't want to die. And he said, but you're here now, yeah? And I was like, yeah, I'm here now. And he goes, and now is all that there is? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, if you've done this once, don't you think you can do it again? Even if you do die, you'll just do it again. It's a dream. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's true, you know? That if I'm doing this once, then I have the possibility. The possibility of dreaming a life is undeniable, because here I am. So if it's possible, I'll do it again if I want to, and I won't if I don't. But I do want to now, so if I feel the same way, or if I had that expression that whatever started this life or this dream, I'll want to probably do it again because I can, because it's possible. So then I sat, I let that hit me, and then I went and I didn't talk to anybody. I sat all day long in the grass. The sun was rising, it rise and went over me. And all day long, I sat in the same fucking spot, just laid there and stared at the grass, and just allowed this to sink in for me all the way until I didn't eat because we had to fast that day. And then all the way until the sun went down, and then we prepared for ayahuasca. I went in with my teddy bear, and then I drank it. And I was crying when I drank it. I was like, this is it. This is the fucking moment, you know? This is the moment that I made a deal with flow, that if I wasn't done, I was going to be endlessly tortured. And if I wasn't tortured, it didn't mean that I was done. I would have to receive a lot of evidence, like messages constantly, not just now, but after this, that reaffirm that I am, because I so didn't trust that I was. And so all of a sudden, I drank it, and I said, please just make the transition smooth for me. I would love for the transitions to be smooth. I'll go anywhere as long as the transition there is smooth, you know? If the transition's freaky, I'm an idiot. I might go the opposite direction. So if you make it smooth for me, I'll go anywhere. That was another deal I made with Flow. These making deals with Flow are really just asking for these things, right? You'll get whatever it is you ask for. But I would like to make deals at the time. I will do anything you say if this, right? And that moment came where it was coming on, it was strong, it was fast, and I said, please, I kept just saying, please, just smooth the transitions for me, please, with me, like in a loving way. And if not, then torture me and whatever, right? Because I'm not done. If I'm not, but if I am, then this will be easy. And then suddenly there was a moment, click, where I heard in my world somehow one word, and I started crying. And it was welcome. And then after that, I had to integrate all this. I had to step back into the world of people who thought that it was impossible to do what I just did, who I was holding up above me in my mind, and I had to not step down from this, because I know that I'm done now. No dream character here can tell me that I'm not dreaming. Seems ridiculous now thinking back on it, right? But at the time, I didn't perceive you all as dream characters. Now I don't actually perceive you as dream characters. Now I perceive you as me, which is totally different than a dream character, right? You're not the character you play, you're the being behind the character. And that's who I'm speaking to now, which is why this is even working. Otherwise, you wouldn't receive it. When I was in Boulder, Colorado, I received this message. People weren't receiving me. They were fighting me. And I was like, why is this happening? And then the answer came. And an older woman was like, why do you say character? I don't like that you say character. I'm a being. And I was like, yeah, I don't mean to diminish you in any way, because I didn't, right? I didn't mean to. I didn't mean it was a bad thing. I just saw that you're a dream character in that way. You're a dream character because I'm dreaming. But it's not like a nighttime dream where your dream characters are like, oh yeah, I'm part of your dream. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's go fly a kite, No, it's not like that. If I say it to you, you feel it. That maybe I mean that you are the character you play. That's not okay with you because you're not, are you? And that's my message, is that you're not the character you play. So if I call you a dream character, it doesn't make sense, to you. So I had to receive that. I had to receive a lot of these things, guidance like this, But I had to also go through the process of not being able to allow a dream character to deny that I'm done. And that done is the same as whatever people are calling enlightened. And that this is what it actually looks like. If enlightened is truth realized, and if enlightenment is not truth realization, then it exists outside of truth, which means it's false. So it doesn't sound very enlightened to me. So if it is truth realization, then truth realization is really untruth unrealization, because it's getting back to your natural state. And there's no doubt in my mind that I have unrealized untruth. That is clear. That's all. That must be what enlightenment means, but it's not some fucking great, distant guru thing. It's your birthright. It's what you're experiencing now. I want to reflect this for you because it's reality, And in that way, I'm a dream character for you, but really I'm you. I'm a being. I'm you here, showing you this. So in that way, it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more, there's a little more compassion. I'm treated. The golden rule. You ever heard the golden rule? Treat others like you'd like to be treated. That's the golden rule, they call that. This is why. Because there is no other. So when you treat other people like you would be treated, you're actually just seeing that they are you, and you're treating them that way because it's what's happening. That's all. One of the best/worst/best pieces of advice I've ever gotten, because as a kid it was really great, and then it became stupid. What? Treat others like I want to be treated, but they don't treat me that way. Stuff like that, right? But then I had to realize that other was the assumption, right? The possibility of other. So.
I gotta go, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, don't be sorry. That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, brother, for everything.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. So much. Thank you.
I hope to see you again before you leave.
Yeah.
If I don't.
Do you have my phone number? Do you have an iPhone?
I don't have an iPhone.
Okay, I have iMessage. I don't think you can message me on iPhone. Do you? No, Facebook, because
I'm on Facebook.
you are. You might be able to message me, and I might be able to get it on my phone. But I don't think you can add me as a friend yet. I have to delete people. I'm just gonna start deleting people from because I need more space. Oh, I can create another Facebook account. I should do that. And we should all be on the same group too, like a Facebook group. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We're making a group for the caravan, and you guys, though you're not traveling yet with us, but you can join that group. That's what it'll be about. So add me on Facebook if you can, but message me from Facebook. Then I can start a dialogue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, man.
But like I said, I'd like to see you again before you leave. I don't know if you'll have time or I'll have time.
I do have time.
You're leaving on Wednesday?
But I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Like 5-6 days later. But yes, I have time.
Yeah, cool.
I have time. Like, you're the one who doesn't have time. Otherwise, you'd be hanging out with me right now. You know what I mean? You're the one leaving.
True.
So yeah.
But
yes.
next time I see you,
Mhm.
we're gonna have a long conversation.
Okay. Sure. I would love that. I'd love it.
Not so much a request to just hit me.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
Let's do it then. Yeah, I want to start immediately. Yeah, man. So if tomorrow you can, then tomorrow, or whenever.
Yeah.
Just let me know, okay?
I will.
If your world opens up and it's indicated, just fucking go with it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Good
brother.
night, guys.
Take care.
You too.
Wash your hands when you want to open the door downstairs, okay? It's a little bit tricky. Okay. Put your hand.
Hey, I'm pretty hungry, and it's past midnight, which means there's no more food anywhere.
24/7 stores.
Food I can eat.
7-Eleven.
Yep, I went there, but it's not. I went there. They have nuts. That's all I can eat there. I can't have flour. I don't have sugar. Very much sugar. So I'm getting skinny. Is what's happening. Well, I'm in Norway. I'm like, oh crap. I guess I'm not supposed to be healthy. I mean, strong looking right now.
Yeah.
I've been taking this protein powder that I brought with me from the States because I can't even have protein powder, like regular protein powder. I have to have like grass pasteurized cows. That if the cows are fed grain, it fucks my stomach up. It wasn't like this until recently, though. As soon as I stopped eating this shit, then it started hurting my stomach when I would eat it. Same with flour, anything like that. So
when you stopped eating flour,
then if I had flour, then it hurt me.
all right.
The reason why is because it was hurting me before, but I couldn't tell because my body was producing so much serotonin as a response to the pain, that inflammation that my body was experiencing, that I got addicted to the serotonin. So I was eating flour, fucking my body up, and then feeling good from the serotonin. And that was happening over and over. So when I stopped for 3 months. I didn't have any flour for 3 months.
Okay.
And then I tried to have a little bit, and couldn't do it. I can't have garlic or onions either, unless I'm sick. If I'm sick, it'll nuke my body. That's what they do.
That you can't have garlic is actually very good for your body. Garlic, in an energetic sense, keeps the vampires away, but also the other extreme, the Holy Spirit, the people who should be in your life, the good people.
That's an interesting concept, huh?
Also, if you smell a woman on her period, it's the same smell as garlic. If you just eat garlic, so it messes up your entire hormonal system.
Oh, I bet. No, that I've experienced, man. Like, I haven't, and also the concept that like garlic makes your breath smell terrible is pretty funny. So even if like you didn't believe in the story of pushing people away with garlic, it's like, it's still it.
You never eat garlic either?
I do, except my dad doesn't. And my dad is a he's kind of like Russia. You can explain. Yeah.
He must have some. I'm gonna meet your dad. By the way, I have a place to stay, and I bought my ticket, and I'm going on Wednesday. So,
I actually just texted him like half an hour ago.
Well, let him know I have a place now, and it's 10 minutes from City Center, so that's cool.
I also checked his email. He just hasn't opened the mail.
Oh, cool. Yeah, great. I figured that if he got the opportunity to meet me, he'd be like, "Fuck yeah," because I'm a fuck yeah to him.
Of course.
So I feel like he'll be a fuck yeah to me. So I'll meet him in Amsterdam, and like I just feel like we're gonna be really good friends. Heard a lot about his dad. He sounds fucking unbelievable. I think I'll text real quick, because why not? To the people who may have food for me. Let me see.
Are you hungry?
So hungry.
So I can provide some food.
What do you have? Like
I just can provide you pizza now.
from pizza? I can't have pizza,
You can?
No, I can't. It has flour and garlic in it.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have that kind of food.
Do you have any, like, just
Quite a
meat?
lot of options.
What's that?
That eliminates quite a lot of options.
I know, isn't that funny? Yeah. Even having, like, gluten-free pizza, it still messes me up usually. But do you have any meat?
I have meat.
What kind?
Oh, store. What is it?
Can I look? Or?
Beef.
Yeah.
Beef? Yeah, I'd love to check out something. Chicken would be amazing, but I'm sure we have any of that.
Well, everything is in the refrigerator, in freezer, unfortunately.
Oh, freezer. Oh, so that's out.
And this is also carbonara.
I'm Dutch.
This is the
I
cow.
don't think that should
Okay.
But this is also freezing, so it takes time.
Yeah, I don't think that would be good for now. Maybe
Then vegetable.
yeah, maybe a vegetable would be good. What is this?
This is
Sliced meat.
pork.
Yeah, I don't think that
It
either.
is for.
But I think that
Just check.
one of these or something would be
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
Check over the what?
This is
No, pear.
you can send me a
Apple.
message.
Check
Yeah.
over the like. Any
Mushrooms?
kind of. Yeah.
That would be really good. Can I start this in my
Please.
That would be so good.
Check yourself. What do you like?
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Anyone else hungry?
No thanks, I'm fine.